family from Croatia learned all about Tzu Chi's missions through their visit to the Taichung Jing Si Hall. A team of Tzu Chi volunteers collaborate with local entities in Moscow to care for the disadvantaged population. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Lori Chen. Thank you for joining us. As we continue on during the Lunar New Year holiday season, a family from Croatia recently visited the Taichung Jing Si Hall. They have a long-term connection with Taiwan, and they were deeply touched by Tzu Chi's mission worldwide.
On the second day of Lunar New Year, there were foreign visitors to the Taichung Jing Si Hall.
Our tea ceremony set up.
Anne, who is from Croatia, visited the Jing Si Hall with her husband and son. Their first stop was experiencing the Jing Si tea ceremony. Then they learned about Tzu Chi's history through this large panoramic screen.
I'm really glad that you bring us like guests here and show us all this about organization. It's really fascinating how many countries you were helping. 97, yeah, almost whole world.
Anne's two sons both studied in Taiwan. She has also hosted Taiwanese students who studied abroad at her house, hence becoming friends with their family. This time she was invited to visit Taiwan as well as the Jing Si Hall for the Lunar New Year.
To learn about Tzu Chi's missions, the tea ceremony, and traditional Chinese instruments are a great experience for foreign guests and us as well.
Anne and her family has visited every corner of the Jing Si Hall with the guidance of volunteers. This is the most special memory during their trip to Taiwan.
We learned many things here, really. And we will remember this for whole life. Never forget. Thank you so much. 谢谢.
Many Tzu Chi volunteers are doing meaningful deeds during the Lunar New Year period. For example, at the Humanitarian Ecotech Pavilion, many chose to stay and introduce environmental protection concepts to the visitors. They really cherished any opportunities to serve.
The candy basket in the young volunteer's hand is unique and can't be found in stores because it was made from recycled cereal and coffee bags. The creative work came from Tzu Chi volunteer Jiang Mingtong's inspirations after she took courses at Jing Si Books and Cafe. Her idea has won much praise from the public.
There's aluminum foil in it, and it will pollute the air if you burn it. If we don't recycle and reuse it, it will cause air pollution.
On the second day of Lunar New Year, Jiang Mingtong seized the chance to explain the concept of recycling to the visitors. Another volunteer, Zhang Weizhen, also came to serve at the Humanitarian Ecotech Pavilion.
My body is the best gift from my parents, and I want to physically be here to connect with more people. I can find another day to go back home.
Volunteers share the results of the DaAi Tech team with the public so that more people can understand Tzu Chi's mission and join hands to cherish resources on Earth.
The Shoe Mart is one of the biggest shopping centers in the Philippines. Last year, they opened a new branch in the Ormoc area. Therefore, they hosted a Lunar New Year event and invited Tzu Chings from the Ormoc DaAi village to both perform and introduce the Tzu Chi Foundation to the public.
Ormoc DaAi village is the home of many affected residents after Typhoon Haiyan. The seeds of great love have now blossomed. Tzu Chings stood in a unified formation, and their energetic performance has become the spotlight at the shopping center.
The values of Tzu Chi is a great catalyst for all of us, especially the youth. When inculcated with the right values, our youth will be doing good to our society.
They think so people will know what they're the purpose and then the goals of the foundation, and that the kids are really doing great, being scholars of the foundation.
The 19th Filipino Tzu Chi's Jing Si camp was hosted in Ormoc for the first time at the end of last year. 93 Tzu Chings in Ormoc has learned the Buddhist teachings through games, and they've been inspired about the importance of practicing filial piety and doing good deeds in life.
I just realized how hard my mother has been working to send me to school.
Gusto ko pong magpasalamat sa kanila dahil
I appreciated my parents greatly. Although I disobey them sometimes, but they still take care of and love me selflessly.
I invited Tzu Chi because we want to show the customer here in SM Center or mall what is Tzu Chi all about. So we want to showcase the talents of Tzu Chi as well. So in celebration as well of the Chinese New Year.
Ormac Tzu have learned to serve others with a compassionate heart, and the power of great love has made this Lunar New Year celebration more meaningful and colorful.
Tzu Chi volunteers continue to deliver love and warmth to Guizhou. This time, 8 of the participants were Tzu Chi alumni from Taiwan. They seized the opportunity to pass on their experiences to the diligent local youth volunteers.
In Guizhou, slogans help combat poverty can be seen everywhere. The area has a population of 34 million people, with 52 out of 88 counties being impoverished. With joint efforts from 2013 to 2017, the impoverished population decreased by 6.7 million people. Many more people are also willing to volunteer and serve their hometown. To deliver warmth in the winter, youth volunteers in yellow vests are in charge of planning the schedule of scholarship distribution and hosting the program.
I will say that they lead a more difficult life than me, but they're very content. Therefore, I feel that I should not complain about my own life.
That's very good. As you introduce the film, you should just share your feelings. Your own story will touch many people. Besides, you know it well, so you don't have to memorize the script.
Among the Tzu Chi volunteers, 8 of them are Tzu Chi graduates from Taiwan who are sharing their experiences.
We can see the strength of young people at work. Since this time, many Tzu Chi graduates have come along. They can pass on their experiences, giving them positive energy.
Meeting the Tzu Chi graduates in person, we will get much learning experiences.
Seeing this group of youth volunteers is like seeing ourselves years ago. Years ago, when the 9/21 earthquake struck, we wanted to do something for society. This group of Guizhou youth volunteers are like this too. They want to do something for their hometown. When we first came, they looked lost. After 2 days of companionship, I can see that they look determined now. They now know what they should do.
The youth volunteers who shoulder responsibilities have performed well.
Good people should also be kind-hearted and spread the seeds of kindness. I feel that as we distribute the scholarships, we're doing something meaningful and can inspire other people.
As Tzu Chi graduates from Taiwan lead the youth volunteers, they in turn inspire the young volunteers. Everyone, including a 10-year-old child, has gained much.
那你呢？你觉得今天开心吗？开心。那你以后还要不要继续做小志工？继续。那你以后要不要邀更多人一起来？要。要邀几个人？很多。
I feel very warm in this big family.
Many of the youth volunteers are left behind children or the only child in the family. Tzu Chi uncles and aunts are like their parents, while the Tzu Chi graduates are like their big brothers and sisters, giving them a sense of belonging.
In Tzu Chi, we are always a family. Tzu Chi never gives up on anyone.
For me, Tzu Chi is already a part of my life.
Hey, 师姑师伯哎，来旺仔哦，来路行哦，来富足哦，来sau仔哦，咿哟。
A group of China and Taiwan Tzu Chi volunteers made their way to Russia. This time, they collaborated with a charity group in Moscow to care for hearing impaired individuals. They even took on a first-hand experience of what it feels like to be visually impaired themselves.
This lady can skillfully draw a beautiful picture with a writing brush. It's hard to imagine that she lost both her eyesight and hearing ability. She can only communicate with the others by tactile signing, interpreted in Russian. A team of Tzu Chi volunteers have visited Russia for the first time. Besides caring for the single-family children in the city of Kaluga, the volunteers also met with a charity association in Moscow for further collaboration. The lady who was drawing the picture is the consultant of the Deaf Association. She has been caring for the vulnerable people in the society for a long time. In addition, she invited the volunteers to cover up their eyes and experience the feeling of drawing as a blind individual.
I couldn't get the hang of drawing without seeing, but at least my drawing wasn't that bad. Today I realized what it feels like to be blind. For a person with no disabilities, this is a very meaningful experience.
The vice principal of a local private international school was the one who helped to bring the volunteers and the charity association together. She also invited the volunteers to teach Jing Si aphorisms to the students.
信心、毅力、勇气，三职具备，天下没有做不成的事。
Besides learning the Jing Si aphorisms, the children also learn Chinese with the volunteers. In 4 simple characters, they want to send their best wishes to all the people who celebrate the Lunar New Year.
In Malaysia, there's some elderly volunteers serving in Tzu Chi kindergartens. Everyone calls them DaAi grandmothers over there. Among them is 72-year-old Ling Mingzhu, who is the perfect example of it's never too late to learn new sets of skills. When we come to serve at the Tzu Chi kindergarten, we can teach students to make handicrafts and tell stories to them.
On this day, Ling Binzhu is teaching children table manners. Though she feels a bit nervous, she was finally able to complete the task. If I come here alone to help out, I would worry that I would not be able to complete the task. But there are other DaAi mothers here, so I learn a lot of things from them. I would observe how they do things and then learn from them. She always says that she cannot do anything, but in fact, she brings a lot to the class. When the teacher gives instructions in front of the class, she would go sit next to the children who are distracted and tell them to listen to the teacher. Instead of letting age become a hindrance, Lim cherishes every opportunity to learn. It's because she once had thought of becoming a teacher when she was younger. When I was younger, I had once thought about becoming a teacher, but I had a job at the time, so I gave up the opportunity. The most challenging thing to me now is memorizing the students' names. I just can't remember them all. I want to memorize them, but I will forget them after a while.
Since she is over 70 now, we hope she can live a more fulfilling life. By coming here to volunteer, I think she can live her life to the fullest in this later stage of life.
It is never too late to learn. Lim dedicates her life wholeheartedly to serving the community, making her life full of energy and hope.
A Nellin cares recipient's daughter passed away in an aircraft accident in Taiwan back in 2015. Tzu Chi volunteers have been caring for the family ever since. For this year's Year and Blessing ceremony, the father participated in a social adaptation performance and dedicated to his beloved daughter. The Year and Blessing ceremony in Liaoning this year is hosted at a wedding venue. Volunteers welcome community residents with warmth and love.
My mom is a very kind and compassionate person. After she joined Tzu Chi, she has become a much more well-rounded person. interpretation of the sutra adaptation tells the story of respecting the elders and caring for the young ones.
It's natural for young people to mourn for the deceased elders, but vice versa, it is a painful experience that can last for years. We hope the performance can encourage everyone. When I thought of my deceased daughter, her image has always been in my mind for many years.
It feels like I've been wandering out in the wild for years, and I've finally found my mother in my home. Now I've become a part of this big family. The great love of Tzu Chi not just shows for Asian people, but the entire world. It's amazing that they are always the first to arrive wherever there's disaster.
The red envelope of wisdom and blessing represents wishes of global Tzu Chi family. Everyone pray for a world free of disasters in the new year.
In our continued series on water resources, we will once again visit Japan, which does not have a shortage of water. However, some reservoirs face some degree of siltation. Here's our in-depth report.
Here's the Sensoji Temple. Everyone surrounds it as they want to sip water. They believe that washing their hands with this water can purify their body and mind. But when it comes to the Asakusa area, it's important to discuss the Sumida River, which the local economy depends upon.
Every well-established culture often includes a historical river. Japan is no exception. In addition to admiring these water resources, it also played a role in strategic warfare. Japan was severely deprived of water in the 1960s and 70s. The population was soaring. This, coupled with rapid urbanization, led to insufficient water resources. Therefore, there's not much opposition to building reservoirs. In the 1960s, Japan's population exploded and caused a sense of threat to Tokyo, the heart of the country. If the most basic drinking water is not enough, can the country still operate? In Tokyo and the local surrounding downtown area, there are 7 reservoirs providing the water for daily use. Although the average annual rainfall in Japan is 1,690 millimeters, which is twice the world average, the annual average rainfall of the Kanto coast in Tokyo is 1,571 millimeters, which is lower than the national average. The safe water reserve is 20%, which in Tokyo would be 6.3 million cubic meters, but there's no way to ensure this amount. Total daily water consumption in Tokyo is 31.5 million cubic meters, and the reserve water resources on hand are 6.3 million cubic meters per day. However, Japanese society, which has experienced war, worries this amount is not enough, as many reservoirs have been built. Located 65 kilometers from downtown Tokyo, these roads are small and rugged. It takes more than 2 hours to drive. We are here to learn how Tokyo's water system is protected. Surrounded by mountains and green lakes, this small reservoir in Kawachi provides the only water for people in Tokyo. Upon arriving at the reservoir, the dam isn't the first attraction, as management uses a monorail to travel in these mountains.
This rail goes into the forest, which is a water catchment feeding the Kawachi Reservoir. This hillside has an incline of 42 degrees, which is because of such ruggedness. You need to take a monorail like this to climb into this beautiful forest scenery.
To build a reservoir, one must first buy surrounding forest land to ensure soil and water conservation. Japan has done this, as this and the monorail sways up the mountain. We visit this protected forest area. More than 60 years ago, the Tokyo Bureau of Waterworks bought 24,000 hectares of forest around the reservoir, 70% of which are virgin forests. This piece of lush greenery is now an important barrier to ensuring water quality. The sedimentation here is only 3%. The main reason is the surrounding forest does a good job at soil and water conservation. Iwasaki proudly says that a typical 60-year-old reservoir has a 30% siltation level, though the Kawachi Reservoir has only 3% siltation. Some say it's the healthiest reservoir in the world, as soil and water conservation efforts have contributed to the state. In order to be able to maintain moisture, it is necessary to have a large tree, a small tree at the same time. This grass growing under it plays the function of water retention. In order to maintain healthy moisture in this forest, it is necessary to plant seedlings regularly and pruning them so that the sun shines into the forest. However, to prevent wild deer from eating these seedlings, nets are used to protect them.
The wild animals here are mostly mountain deer. When I first encountered one, I was surprised, but then I became accustomed to it after 4 years.
With a machete at her waist, she works diligently to prune this forest. After working for 4 years, she has become accustomed to this work.
People who drink water rarely know that there are people in our group who are working upstream. I hope that through your report, more people will know about our work and the benefits of this forest.
It's often said that few people know that 1 cup of water is hard to obtain. In fact, to protect this water resource, some $16 million which come from water fees. Few other countries besides Japan can create such a miracle. In terms of water use policy, the Tokyo Bureau of Waterworks gives priority to water from the Tone River. The water in the Tama River system is mainly used to prevent drought. Tokyo has 3 major water systems, with Kawachi being the upstream area of the Tama River, which plays the main reservoir role with a total storage capacity of more than 180 million cubic meters. This is rarely used, only in times when water is needed, as it can supply Tokyo for 40 days. This reflects that Japan's reservoir system is well prepared to provide as much water as needed to keep the country strong.
An elderly couple's former home in Chile was significantly damaged by a fire incident. It had stripped the home of its insulation panels, which made it hard to withstand the cold weather. When the local volunteers got wind of the news, they quickly assembled a team to solve the urgent needs of the couple. They hope the timely assistance can help them stay warm in the cold winter months. Thank you for watching. See you next time.